but I've reached out to half a dozen people who have done these in the past and got 0 responses.
Well, this shouldn't be too tough to tackle, so we'll give it a whirl here. And
I'm anxious to learn this, so this will be good.
okay, no, that's fine. Hey, well, let's go ahead. I'm gonna probably have you do me help me just a little bit here. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can you? Can you? Because I'm screen sharing, so if you can't, we ought to...
I am. Yes, I
Okay.
see a white screen.
Okay. Well, then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a few little housekeeping things here. But one of the things that I think would be helpful is to, if you have a web browser handy, is to bring up a copy of the Sx64 schematic and see if you can get to a point where the keyboard connector is, so we make sure we get this set of connections typed in correctly. And I'm going to make this a little bit pretty here. There we go. Where's my... There we go. All right. And I know at the one end of this, we're going to need a keyboard connector, and I think I have one of those already put together here. So let's see, where is it? Keyboard VIC64 right here. What's this? Ah, okay. So let's go ahead and put a keyboard connector here. And then the other piece we need is, so which is the connector that needs to go into the Sx64?
So the Sx64, it has a female connector on it.
Okay. Okay. So then that means if we're going to build something, we're going to need...
We'll need a...
We're going to need, or yeah, we're going to need a male connector on the on the system here. So, and that's a DB25. So let's see if we can pull one of those up from our list of goodies. We'll put you guys in here so everybody can. Let's see. Sub D. Here we go. So we need a 25 pin. Let's see, what do we want? We probably want the... Okay, so we can make a very simple connector. In fact, we should go ahead and we can make one that's just a tiny little bit of printed circuit board. But how much room is in that space up in there? Is there enough room in there to put a connector and then another connector where the 64 keyboard can plug into? How much room do you think is in that space up in there?
In the Sx64?
Yeah. On the...
So I think that the Sx64 would just have the male cable into it. The adapter would need to go into the C64 itself.
Well, true. But I guess what I'm thinking is, so I'm thinking one thing we could do here is if we do this kind of connector. So let me try this connector here. So F25, that's a female. So we need the male version of this. So hold on a second. Sorry, I got the wrong one here. So if we do a male connector here, and we do the one that comes out to solder eyelets, which is the one I have on the screen right now. So what I'm thinking that we could do is, let's put it over here. So if we build the the actual printed circuit board. Let me flip to the printed circuit board view here real quick. Okay, so what I was thinking is we could put this unit right right here, and then put this unit. Oh, look at that! It's a little bit wider. Put this like right here, and this is this little white line is the boundary of our printed circuit board. So we could do this. And we could make a tiny little board that just has, come on, give me 1 second here so I can turn on some items here. Okay, so I'm thinking what we could do is build this little board where the connector, the D connector, or the RS-232 type connector that plugs in, it actually straddles the edge of the printed circuit board. Have you ever seen units that do that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. Sure.
And then if we put a right angle connector on this connector right here,
Sure.
then the whole assembly could just basically live up inside the SX. Do you think that would give the cable enough room, or do you think that's not enough?
So the problem with that is,
Yeah.
in the SX, I had to cut off the edges of the DB25 connector where the screws normally go.
Okay, right
I had
here. So you had to cut that part
cut
off.
those off for it to even fit in there.
Got it. Okay, so that is a problem. Okay, so that's
it's
fair.
very tight in there.
Okay, so that's good. So that gives me, so that's helpful. And I have an SX here. I could do some measurements on. In fact, I should do some measurements on it real quick. So let's just do that so we don't have to, you know, worry about this or whatever. Let me see. Hold on here a second. Make sure that. Yep, just want to make sure somebody else wasn't trying to get in. Okay, so let me turn on my handy dandy okay. So according to my micrometer, the total distance is about 1.8 inches, which is really tight. Okay, so 1.8 inches. So let's go ahead.
So can you see my share here?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you had
This
to
is
pull
what
the
I
whole.
had to do.
You had to pull the whole outer shell off, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
To get it in there, I had to take off the meat just so it was pins, and I had to shave it down so it was just the triangle.
Okay. Well,
for it to fit up in there.
Let me. So we probably can't solve the having to take the shell off, but we can put some lines here to indicate, what the, what we have to work with, so we can make sure that we aren't, like you said, we aren't making something that physically won't fit in the.
Sure.
Okay, that's interesting. What is that? Go away. Why did that have come up anyway? Okay, so let me draw a box. So let's draw a box here, and let's put it. Let's use the document thing here. So what we want is we want a box from 0.9 to 0.9 to negative 0.9 to 0.9. So okay, so that is, and you know what, so that is the area that we have to work with. So you're right, these things, this isn't going to work because it's going to extend past the edge of what we have to work with. So, all right, well, that's okay. That's why we do this stuff, right?
Sure.
Okay, so let me see what kind of distance we have on the other direction. So we've got this little, so it looks like it's the DB25 females nestled up in there. And then we have so what if we put what if we switched it and we put the board with the connectors, we put them so that it was, so that the board was, what do I want to say? Instead of being parallel to the connector, it was perpendicular to the connector. And then have the board drop down just below the bottom of the case, and then we could make it a little wider at that point, and then plug the keyboard on there. Do you think the keyboard cable would give us enough length at that point to set the keyboard in front of the computer?
Let me open up the shell.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
All right. Hold on here. I got some beeps. Okay. So, yeah, let's see if we can do that. I'm going to switch this connector out. So I'm going to shift this connector to a different, I'm going to make it one of the perpendicular connectors, because obviously the one I originally was planning on, it's not going to work. So let's see if we can, let's see. I don't really want a right angle connector. I really just want one that's straight through like that, I think. Yeah, I think that's what I want. Vertical is what they call it, vertical. So I'm trying to think which one of these is the one that's best. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is.
So,
yep.
This is what I did.
Okay.
Because the cable is very short. It goes.
Oh, so your cable is really short. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because it only went from here to the motherboard here.
Okay. Well, we can make just we can make a connector with a little you know, kind of like the one that I think you would showed a picture of. It's got like a little ribbon type cable that connects to it, and then there's a spot at the end to plug in the regular 64 keyboard, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could do that. If we're going to do that, huh?
Well, it could have it could have just the male header on it that the keyboard would plug into it on one side, and then this piece on the other side.
True, but you got it. What are you going to have between the two little boards, right? You'd have to have some sort of cabling, right?
I mean, I don't know. You're just the traces on the board.
Well, what I'm saying is you're going to have one board that's going to fit up inside the Sx64 that plugs into the DB25 connector on the Sx64. And then what you're describing is that the keyboard cable is so short, you can't just plug the keyboard directly into that printed circuit board. So you'll have to have another printed circuit board that you can plug the keyboard onto, right? Well,
I was just assuming it was something like what I did. So instead of having this piece that I plugged into,
right,
that would be the one board.
Yes,
so
yes.
And then it would just be one of these DB25 cables like I did. You'd have to modify this end.
Okay, so
but this is just a cable that plugs into the
what you're describing is, so you're thinking the plan of attack would be you'd get a regular DB25 serial cable or parallel cable or whatever, and you'd plug one end of that into the SX, and then you would plug the other end of that cable into this little adapter, and we can do that. But I think most people are going to be like, well, can we just skip the whole, can we skip the DB25 connector and just like make the whole thing so I don't have to source because what I think people are going to be concerned about is they're going to want us, they're going to source a serial cable instead of a parallel cable, and those don't have all the wires connected, and then it won't work for them, right? Because a DB25 serial cable only connects like 4 or 5 of the wires, whereas a DB25 parallel printer cable would work, which is probably what did you use when you made that?
That's what I got.
Okay.
I got this.
Yeah, you got the parallel cable.
I got the parallel cable, yeah. and it's got a couple extra pins on it, but it had everything I need.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I think we can do. Let's do this.
But the only thing I'm afraid of is this keyboard cable is so short.
Yeah.
That it won't reach.
That's true.
To do that. So that's the.
So here's
that's
what
the downside.
Here's what I'm thinking that we should do is. So I think I've got it covered here. So I'm going to leave the connector that's on the board the way it is, this one right here, but we can't put this thing here because that won't work. So, I mean, it will work. It would work to do just right this, like this, but I'm also going to do this. I'm going to make it a little bit longer, and I'm going to make it do double duty here. So we're going to do this, and we'll put this thing at the end like this. Let me clean up the edges of the printed circuit board a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm thinking. So how many of the Sx64 lines do we really have to run? Let's see, what's this? So how many?
So there's 20 on the Commodore.
Good. Yeah, I know.
But there's a couple that you don't use.
So 20.
Like 2 is vacant to begin with.
Yep.
And then I think 4. Let me unscrew this or open this up.
4 is
because the first time I just did 1-to-1.
Yep.
And it didn't work.
Okay.
And then I looked at it again and said, "Oh no, I need to skip this one and this one."
Okay. Well, let's see. I/O board. Is the I/O board the one that has keyboard? There we go. So it has 1 is hooked to ground, and then 2 is not connected. 3 is connected to, what is 3? Oh, 3 is restore. 4 is 5 volt. And then you've got your rows and columns. So it looks like you only need to connect the 20 connections, which would be all, that makes sense. So I'm thinking about doing the following here. So I'm thinking that we would do, let me add a little bit more here. And then
I found this diagram was what I had used.
Oh, cool. Is that something online? Because that would help.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you could fire off a note to that in the chat, that'd be great. I'll bring that up.
Okay, I have to find it.
Okay.
And then I also used this diagram.
Okay. What's that one?
And that was the SX, the DB25.
Okay.
So let me see if I can find where I want them. I think I got them off of Bo's site. That's where I think I got them.
Okay. Well, let's do this. So I'm thinking we should do the following. Okay, so let's move this just a little bit. Okay. And then let me build some connections here so we've got something to go off of. Okay. So we've got, let's see, we got reset. Reset and row 0 to 7, column 0 to 7. I think that covers everything. So let's connect up some things here. So, and let's just connect them in the same configuration. So why don't you, did you put that thing in chat or
I did.
not?
I put it in the chat. Yep.
That's fine. Let me bring up the chat here. Okay. Good. So let's see what this is. Okay. So okay, this is the SX one, and then you said you had the regular.
Yep,
This is the C64 one, and then the other one was the SX.
Yeah, I'm getting the SX one now.
Okay. So restore, and so you just went 1 to 1, and that didn't work. 1 to 1.
No, it did. It did. The thing is, I didn't. What did I do? I didn't skip one. I have to look at what I.
Oh, you didn't skip 2 or something?
No, 2 I did.
Okay.
But I ended up coming up to 19, and I needed to skip one other one. And let me see which one it is.
Oh, maybe the plus, maybe the VCC line.
Number 4.
Okay.
I had to skip number 4, so it was. I had the white cable, and then I skipped 2, and then the black and 3.
Okay.
And then I skipped 4, and then I was good the rest of the way.
Okay.
And because I didn't skip 4, I came up with 19 instead of 20.
Okay.
So then once I went back and found my error there, it worked perfectly. Just 1 to 1.
Got it. Okay. So I want to see. So I don't need. So I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to use the connections that we have here. I'm going to move this off the screen so I can reference it while I'm doing this. So pin 1 is ground, so we won't deal with it. Pin 2 is nothing. Pin 3 is restore. So let's go and do restore here. I should call it restore. So let me rename it.
And there is the SX numbering.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and okay. So let's do, so then pin 5 is 3. I wonder if that's, let me see what the other, oops. So according to, okay, thank you. So according to the schematic, the rows are first. So pin 5 is row 3. So that's fine. We're going to go ahead and do, so maybe you can help me by telling me what pin 7 on the C64 connector is. Should say PB something, right? Or
find it here. 7 is PB5.
Okay, so that'd be row 5. So we'll put row 5 here. And then what about pin 9?
And 9 is PB7.
Okay, so that's row 7. Okay, and then pin 11.
11 is PB1.
Okay, that's row 1. And then 13.
13 is PA0.
Okay, so that's column 0. What about the 15?
15 is PA5.
Okay, that's column 5. Okay, 17?
17 is PA3.
Column 3. And 19, pin 19.
19 is PA1.
Okay. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let me copy this over to the other side here. Oops. Yep, that's about right. Okay. So then we need, so pin 2 isn't anything, and pin 3 is restore. So let's, oh, I got restore. Pin 4 is VCC, which we're not going to deal with. So what is
it
pin
says
6?
pin 4 is plus 5 volts.
Yeah, that's VCC.
Oh, okay.
Plus 5, right. You know, I forget what, it's voltage, and I forget what CC stands for. But so what is pin 6?
6 is PB6.
Okay, so that'd be row 6. And then what is 8?
PB4.
Okay, that's row 4. And then 10?
10 is PB2.
Okay, row 2. Okay, 12?
12 is PA7.
Okay, column 7. Column 7. Okay, and 14.
PA6.
Okay, 16.
PA4.
Okay, and 18.
PA2.
Okay, and 20.
PA7.
I thought we already did PA7. Okay. Oh, we'll soon see here. Okay, so let's label them all. Okay. Oh, yeah, pin 12. So pin 12, oh, that was
12 is PB0.
PB0. Okay. Let me delete that and we'll try that again. Okay, so that'd be row 0, you said?
PB0.
Okay. Okay, and then restore row 3. So, whoops. Okay, let's make sure we have everything covered here. So we've got C0, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. That's good. Row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, restore. And then we've got ground and plus 5 volts. And I will go ahead and map those. So give me a second here. Oops. There we go. So which one is plus 5 volts, pin 4?
4.
Okay. We will put some power here to pin 4. Okay. And then the other one we need is ground.
Just 1.
Huh?
1 is ground.
Okay. Sounds good. So cool. Do 1 right here. We'll put it down there and we'll move things around a little bit here in a second. Okay. All right, let's clean up a little bit here so that we can see what we're doing. Okay. All right, so I got everything connected. Let's delete this. Oops. Okay, and then let's copy this. Oops. All right. Copy this, and we will put it. Whoops. That's not what I want. I want to copy it. All right, copy. All right, and oops, we need to move this other thing down. Give me a second. What I don't want to do that. I want to just move it. Okay. Okay, so then let me put our row and column over here. And connect them up here real quick. Row 0, row 1, row 2. So you on the lookout for an actual SX keyboard?
Well, I have one, but
Okay.
it is broken on the edges. It's not in great shape.
Got it. Okay. Did it come
So
with the unit, or did you find it somewhere?
It
Okay.
did, but it didn't come with a cable.
Oh.
So
okay.
I bought one of the flat cables off of a guy on eBay, and it worked. But the keyboard it doesn't stay together. It's missing part of the trim piece that holds it together.
Got it. Well,
so if I moved it, it would come apart. So I thought, well, I got to do something different.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
And I found that typing on a Commodore keyboard is easier. It feels better anyway.
Okay.
SX is a membrane keyboard, not a real keyboard per se.
No, that's true. Well, and the keycaps are different, or the mechanisms are different, and they're held down with, I don't know if you've ever taken them apart, but they're held to the top of the board, I think through the membrane. Yeah, through the membrane. So there's the metal, there's the printed circuit board, I think, and then there's the membrane, and then there's the keys themselves, and they're little white things that plug in, snap onto the printed circuit board or whatnot. But they are very, I don't want to say, they're very brittle. Those little white plastic things are really brittle, and so a lot of times they break as you're trying to take the keyboard apart, and that's unfortunate because those things are hard to source too. So
Sure.
they're getting old, like all of us. They're getting old.
Right.
I remember when the unit was new, and I saw it at a it's like I think it wasn't a Kmart, but it was like a Kmart. It was a local chain, but they were selling Commodore computers, and they had the Executive 64 set up, and it was $595. But for as much money as I had back at that time, it could have been $20,000. But it was a cool machine. You were a cool cat if you had an Sx64. But
I never saw them for sale.
Oh, really? Oh,
no,
yeah.
I got my first Commodore. I'd been working I was in high school, and we had some TRS-80s in the math lab.
Okay.
So we played with those on the green amber or the green screens. And I was at the local radio store.
Mm-hmm.
They sold tapes, they sold cassettes and records and units for your car, that kind of place. I lived in a small town, but we had that. And they went in there, and the guy had a table set up, and he had the C64 on there, and the sprites just blew me away.
It's true.
And he was a local mortician, and he had gotten the license to sell them.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, Yeah, so I thought that was yeah, it just blew me away seeing the sprites on the screen compared to what we were playing with on the in the math lab. So
Cool.
told my mom I wanted one, and they ordered me one from Sears for my high school graduation.
Wow.
Of course, no storage, so all I had was the keyboard plugged into a small 13-inch TV.
Right.
And typing everything in from Compute Gazette and stuff, and then losing it immediately as soon as I turn the computer off.
I had my first machine was a VIC-20 because I purchased it in must have been 81, maybe 81, 80, yeah, it must have been 81. Anyway, I purchased it from Montgomery Ward. So, and it was $233. Pin 6, it's R6. And I had enough money to buy it and a Radar Rat Race cartridge, and I think maybe one other cartridge. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't buy a cassette recorder. And so I would, I get a magazine and I type the stuff in, I get it all running, but then you essentially had to leave the computer up and running because you had nowhere to, you couldn't store it anything. And I, and we lived out in a rural, we lived out on the farm, and so power was not, it would cut out for no apparent reason, and so then you just lose everything. But it actually, the worst was I'd typed for days. I'd typed in some sort of haunted mystery manor, something or other for Computes Gazette, and had it working. I don't know, it probably wasn't that, but it was something that I'd spent a long time on. And my sister was in charge of vacuuming the floors, and she needed a spot for the vacuum cord, and so she unplugged the computer to plug in the vacuum. And then I was doing something else. I came back, the computer's back at the ready prompt, and I was just distraught. And so I think my mom felt so bad about it. She went out and she went to Montgomery Ward's or somewhere, and she bought a cassette recorder. And so that was my first storage mechanism um, was a cassette recorder. I didn't get a drive until considerably later.
See, I never got a cassette. I got an Enhancer 2000 was my first drive.
Okay.
It was cheaper.
Yep.
And I was buying it mail order from somewhere, and so that was my first drive. Was that? And then I discovered Zork on a disc, and that kept me occupied for a whole summer, I think.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I remember I had the VIC for a long time, and I used it for a little bit, and then got tired of it, put it in the shelf, and then I went to I was in middle school, and they had Commodore 64s in the computer lab at the time, which I thought was really cool. And I thought, oh, I got a computer that looks a lot like this. So I went and dug it out, and I started using it again. And then shortly thereafter, I think the Commodore had gotten cheap to the point where it was like $150 or whatever. And so I picked one up, and then shortly got a 1541 drive. But it's funny, I had um, a C64 and a 41 drive, and I had a Gorilla Banana printer, which is like a parallel printer version of the 1525. That was kind of interesting. And an interface, a Cardco. I don't even know what version of the interface I had. But I was still using a black and white color. A black and white TV as my monitor, which was especially fortunate. The Commodore had all those graphics and everything, and you could only see them in shades of gray. So finally, I think I can't remember. It was a couple of years before I could get a monitor, because I remember my first monitor was it was a 1084, which is an Amiga monitor, so it must have been 86 or something, when I got my monitor. So it must have been a couple years later when I got the monitor. But then I finally had I had a pretty good setup there. I had an REU and a drive and a Commodore and I
Oh,
got
wow.
a printer, and I was set.
See here, I took my Commodore to college with me, thinking I was going to be able to use it, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a bunch of apples in the lab, and I couldn't do anything with my Commodore back in my dorm room.
Oh, really? Yeah, I took mine
Yeah.
to college as well, and I used it. I used it for the first 3 years of college. I did all my well, I didn't do all my papers on them, but I did a number of papers on them, and um, I did a number of papers on them, and then finally my senior year, I won a scholarship, some money for my senior year of school, and I told my parents. They said, well, we've already, we, you know, what do what would you kind of like? Because, you've kind of taken care of school. We could maybe, give you a gift or something. And so I said, well, I I think I'm gonna need a PC when I get out of school. So I probably ought to start learning, how IBM PCs work. So I bought one of the very first laptops, the actual notebook style laptops. It was a 386SX. But up until that point, I was using my C64. I'd dial into the terminal server and get on the internet. We were on one of the NSFnet hubs, um, and so we could get internet and Usenet news, and you could telnet all over the place. You could telnet to all these different places in the country. It was the wild west of the internet way back when.
Oh, sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm almost done. Kind of connecting all this up here. 19 is C1 and 20 is C7. So let me make sure I got this all right here. Okay, so there's restore R3. So see if these numbers are right. So this first set should be PB3, PB6, PB5, PB4, PB7, PB2, PB1, PB0. And then these other ones should be PA. Can you read them on the screen?
I can.
Okay. So double check my work for me. So it should be 365472210. 36547. And then the second batch should be 065432217.
Now,
Right. Huh?
where are you reading the numbers for the 20 there?
For
Off
the
off that diagram?
Yeah, well, I'm on here and I'm saying, so pin 1, I don't have it connected to anything. Pin 2, I don't have it connected. Pin 3 should be hooked to the restore thing on the SX. So I just want to make sure that I'm right on that. Let me bring up.
Yeah.
I could be off. So let me.
2 and 25 are in C on the SX.
Yep.
And 4 is the voltage, and 22 is a shift lock.
22 is shift lock. Okay. Which
Shift
we don't.
lock LED.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Shift lock LED.
The LED. Okay. So we should
And
put.
ground.
Oh, go ahead.
Ground is 1, 23, and 24.
1, 23, 24. Okay. So let's put ground 1, 23, and 24. Okay. Got it.
And 25 is NC, same as 2.
Not connected.
Not connected.
Okay. Okay. And then pin 5 is what?
Pin 5 is PA 2
PA2
or PB0. I've got a chart. There's a chart. It's not a straight reading like I was on the Commodore for this one.
Okay.
So if you look at the, did you look at the second?
I'm looking at the second one here. So it says, okay, pin 3 is restore, and so I'm looking. Pin 5 is PB3 at the top there. The pin number is in the brackets.
Oh, okay.
PB5, PB3. And so what's pin 6? Because see, here's the 3 right here. So that matches. And so pin 6 should be PB6.
PB6 in the bracket. Okay.
And then pin 7
should see.
Pin 7 should be PB5. Yep.
7 is PB5. Yep.
Okay. And then the next one, pin 8 should be PB4.
4. Yep.
And then pin 9 should be PB7.
PB7.
And then pin 10 should be PB2.
12, 10. PB2.
Okay.
I see how to read this
and
now.
then pin 11 should be PB1.
PB1.
Okay. And then pin 12 should be PB0.
Yep.
Okay. And then pin 13 should be PA0.
PA0.
Okay. Yep. And then
14 is PA6.
Yep. And then 15 is 5.
5.
16 is 4.
Yep.
17 is 3.
Yep.
18 is
18
2.
is 2.
19 is 1. 20 is 7.
7.
Okay. Well, then I think we're good there.
I don't see 21 on this chart. Huh.
Yeah, that is interesting. Let me look at the.
Oh, here it is. Shift lock. Shift lock is 21.
So shift lock is 21. Okay.
Yeah. Shift lock LED is 22.
Okay, so shift lock is 21, which we probably won't use initially.
We don't have a corresponding one.
Yeah, we don't have a. Okay, but let me label those so we have them. So shift lock and shift LED. Okay. Just so that way if somebody takes this and does something different with it, then we'll at least have all the pins labeled so they can do what they want with it. Okay, let me move this down just a little bit more so I can put VCC on it, even though the keyboard doesn't need VCC. If somebody should happen to use this to plug like a adapter or something in, then this will still work because it'll still map plus 5 volts for them. Okay, let me clean this stuff up a little bit here. Oops. There we go. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now we've got everything mapped, and we got one more thing. There's a power that goes to this. So we'll go ahead and put it right here. And we'll map ground where it needs to be. And power where it needs to be. And then I think we got all the connections mapped. Okay, so now we can turn our attention back to the connector. So this is what I was thinking, I was thinking that we would put this here and this here. And then let me move this so that, there we go. So what I was thinking is we would bend this in because I would bin this in because we can, because if you wanted to use this inside the case, then you wouldn't be able to do that. But we can do this. Whoops. All right, let's put this here and this there. Okay. Let me move there. Okay. So let's map all this. Let's see if we can get it all mapped here. So, okay, pin 1 is over there, but let's see where pin 1 goes. Let's see if we can start mapping all this. So oh, I see pin 1 is over here and everything. So let's flip this around. Okay. There we go. That makes it a lot better. Okay. So what I was thinking is this. I was thinking, so for you that just you already got a connector and you already got a cable and you're going to bring the cable out from the SX, then you can just bring that cable out and you can just take this board, you populate the one connector on the one end and the other one for the C64 cable on the other. Forget this stuff in the middle, and then just plug the two connect together and you're done. But what somebody else could do is they could take this board and they could cut it into two boards. And then they could put a ribbon cable between these two right here, and they wouldn't have to buy that DV25 cable.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So that way this board will do double duty. One board, two uses. Now all we got to do is map it, which is going to be a little bit interesting, but we'll go ahead and give it a whirl here. There's that. Map the restore key, and then let's map the restore key here. There we go, and then we've got C5. C5 is way over there. Let's see how we can do this. Tell you what, let's not do these just yet. Let's do this because it's easier to map this stuff. So let's map this stuff here. Let's see, how do I do this? Go there, go there. There's an art to mapping these. When you've got two sets of connections like this, you have to map them a little interestingly.
Okay.
So we'll map here, and we'll go here, and we'll go there. And then we're going to map the one behind it. What is the deal here? We need to, oh, okay. So map that, and whoops, go this way. Can't go through there like that. Give me a second here. You go on the bottom side, but then that makes it that much harder to map to connect all the other cables. So let me see if I can figure out another solution here. I need to have this connected to that, but I'd rather do it on the top. Red is the top, the traces on the top, and blue are the traces underneath. That's how this works.
Okay.
So just trying to think here. I think I can do it by doing this. So give me 1 second. And okay. Let's see. Width. This is a cheap trick, but it works. Okay. Let's see if we can do this now. Whoops. Forgot one. Okay. So now we've got our connection, and we'll go right here. And then we'll go right there and right there. And then this one here, we need to back it off a little bit because it's too close. All right. So now we're doing better. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Okay, so now we'll just walk down through here and we'll take care of all these. So R4, we will go right there, and we will go, we're going to go just a little bit closer right there. And we'll go right there, and we need to move this one just a little further over so that it doesn't rub up against the one. And then we'll do R5, so this should just take us a few minutes here. Okay. And R7, whoops. And let's finish it up here. Oops. Yeah, fix those. Okay, there's that. Okay, those are all looking good. We'll get this all taken care of, and then you can order one.
So the green circles are going to be headers or solder points?
They're solder points. That's where the
connectors.
Yeah, the connector will plug into right there. Yep.
Now, if I'm understanding this right, my DB25 cable that I'm plugging into the Sx64 on pin 4 of the end that's not plugged in, there should be 5 volts, right?
Correct. Yep, there is.
And that 5 volts I could use to power the LED on the case for the keyboard.
That's right. So what I was going to do is I'm going to add another little connector probably right here, a little 3-position connector right over here, and I'll hook. We have to put a resistor on it, so we'll put a resistor and we'll put the connector there, and then that way, if you have the keyboard itself with the LED in it, you can plug the little connector right there, or you can just solder an LED onto the board, whatever you want to do, and you'll have an LED, power
Yeah,
LED.
fancy.
Yeah,
Wow,
I know.
Yeah.
All right. See if.
Yeah, it's on the right side too.
Huh?
I was just looking at the on the newer style case. The LED is right on the same side as the old keyboard connector.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the older keyboards had longer. They had longer wires to
Yeah.
the keyboard, and so my assumption is that when Commodore finished cost reducing the 64 motherboard, they were like, well, we can save, what, a nickel or something per keyboard if we put the keyboard, because when we cost reduced it, the keyboard connector is now in the middle of the case, and so um, if we make the keyboard cable smaller or shorter, then we can save a little bit of cash, and so we're going to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
So that was okay. We're going to put some healthy power here. Whoa, that's a little too healthy. 16 should be okay. And then whoops. So most printed circuit board houses will do 0.6 millimeter traces, which is what I have. Sometimes they'll do all the way down to 0.4. And then the smallest drill size they'll do is 0.012, which I don't know what that is in millimeters, but so the trick is, if you know that, then you can then you can design your board accordingly. Okay, and then it'll work at most every board house, because every board house typically is the same. Okay, so we got that. Now let's do R3. So R3 should be easy. We won't need this heavy duty wire here anymore. We'll do this. We'll go right there. We'll go right there. R6. So R6 is, so we've got, let me see here. We got R6 and we have to get over here. So I think what we'll do is we will go here, and then we will jump underneath. There we go. And R5. We can do, let's see, we'll do this. We can always adjust some more. We're just trying to do the easy ones right now.
Sure.
So C3, C4, C5. Just wondering if I should, I'm thinking maybe I should do this a little differently, instead of doing, because normally these connectors are like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that matches up fine with this. I guess it's okay, because you know, the RS-232 or DB25 connectors are done. All the top row is consecutive, and then the bottom row is consecutive. So it creates a whole bunch of mess up here.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out if I want to deal with that mess here or I want to deal with the mess over here. But I think it's best to keep the naming, the numbering correct everywhere. So we'll deal with it. So we'll try a little bit of this over here. So R7, R3. Let's see, how do we get this over here? And there's R3, R4. R4, we'll put it underneath. Let's see, we can do R4 right there, and then R5. We'll go right here. R6. Oops. R6. Actually, let's put that on top. Hey, R7. So in that connector that we have for the keyboard, let's just verify real quick that I've got the right thing here, because something's a little weird here. So on the connector, you've got pin 1 is ground, 2 is nothing, 3 is restore, 4 is plus 5 volts, and then we've got, oh, I see. So we've got a problem here. My keyboard connector is messed up. It says 7654321 0, but that's not right. It's 3654721 correct? On the 64 keyboard connector.
Oh, on the 64.
Yeah. So my connector here is wrong for some reason. I'm trying to figure out why it's wrong. Oh, this is not nice. Ugh. Yeah, because R7 should be R3.
6, 5. No. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I know what I goofed. This says pin 12 is 0, which it is. 1, 2, but pin 9 is not R3. It's or no, it is no. Pin 9 is
Pin
not
9
R3.
is PB7.
7, right? So okay, so pin 5 is R3. So let me fix this real quick, and then I'll go in and update this stuff. I need to fix this. So PB3 is pin 5, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so let me fix this real quick. And then pin 6 is, what is pin 6? Is PB6, right? Okay. Pin 7 is PB5.
5.
Okay. Pin 8.
8 is
4.
4.
Okay. Pin 9.
9 is 7.
Okay. 10.
10 is 2.
Okay. 11
is 1.
Okay. And 12
is 0.
Okay. So it's just the 2 that are mixed up. All right. Well, I have only myself to blame because I made this part. So, okay, let's look at, so pin 13 is PA0, right?
13 is column, yeah, PA0.
Okay, and okay, so let's So yeah, these are mixed up. So there we go. All right, now that should make it. I was like, why isn't it? It should be matching up really easy, and it wasn't. So best that we figure out now. Okay. So VCC is there, and then R3. Let's take R3 and go. Let's see, R3. Let's go R3 down here. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Now R6. That's an easy one. R6 should go right there. R5 needs to go underneath. R4, that's easy. R7, underneath again. R2, that's trivial. R1, let's see, we can go underneath. I think it'd be better to go underneath on that one, just to keep it equal to the other ones. R0, top, C0, we're gonna go underneath. And C6, we're gonna go on top. C5 underneath. C4 gonna be on top. This time we're gonna go over this away, and then we're gonna go here. Then we're gonna clean that up a little bit. Down. Okay. And then we got a couple more pins here to map. So C3. Let's see, we can go on the top for this one. I guess we can go right here. Right. There we go. C2. That should have been underneath just to kind of keep it clean. So what do we layer? So we'll do that. Click, 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 click. Okay. Then we'll do C2, which we can go here, there, C1 underneath, C7 on top. Okay, so all those are mapped with the exception of power, which we will take care of now. Probably to make it easier, I'll put the little LED connector over here because power is already over here. So.
Sure, and ground's over there too, right?
Yep, ground's over and power's over, so we'll just okay, and then clean up that. Okay, so that takes care of mapping everything. So I mean that maps everything on that side. The only thing we got left is this, which is going to be a bit of a pain. So let me do this. Let me give myself a little bit more room to work. All right, now we need to do the mapping, which was going to be nasty somewhere. So we'll do it. It'll be the nasty part will be over here. So I think the best thing to do is to try to get every one of the connections. Let's do, let's see if we can bring this. Whoops. Need to go underneath. So underneath, and put it right there. And then this is, we'll go underneath, put it right there. This one right there. This one will go underneath. This one, why is C6 not connected to anything? That's interesting. Oh, here we go. That's why. Okay, so let's bring C6 to there, and then let's bring it over here. We're gonna have to move those a little bit because they're too close. So there we go. Okay. And got, let's see, C1 there, C3 there, C5 there, C2. Okay. C7. Okay. If we can get all the pins over to here, then I can start to kind of clean them all up.
Them up, sure.
Yep, because otherwise it's just a mess. So, all right, so we'll go here, and then we're gonna go there. Okay. All right, do I have any that I haven't mapped yet? I think I got everything mapped, or everything kind of out to this edge.
Right.
There we go. This one. Oh, C0. I need to do C0. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so that's mapped, that's mapped, that's mapped, that's mapped, that's mapped, that's mapped, that's mapped. So it looks like all these are going this direction as opposed, and the only one that's not is this one here. I'm wondering if I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring VCC over here. And I'm going to move this over here so that I'm going to move all these over.
Oh, so the two aren't beside each other?
Yep, so I don't have to worry about these two right here, right next to each other.
Right.
They'll give me more.
Looks cleaner, sure.
Yep. So, and then everything else is done. So then I only have to deal with VCC on that. So we're okay there. Obviously, I'm going to have to deal with this, but then I can switch all these to be on the top side if we need to. So let's see what the mappings look like here. Okay. Okay, so what we need to do is C6 needs to come out, and whoops, let's do this right here. That C5. We'll clean these up when we get first thing I want to do is get them so they map. Okay, so this one, we can just do that, and we don't have to worry about this little. Okay, and then what do we got next? C4. Oh, C4 is right there. Okay, so we'll get it lined up. C3. C3 is looking okay, so we'll get it mapped over here. There we go. What else we got? We got C2. C2 is another one that's got to go. It's got to go over a. It's blue and it's got to go over a red. So C1. Okay. Yeah, I know. It puts a, hopefully puts a thing that says you got two signals next to each other, but you didn't connect them. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we got some of these taken care of. Let's see what else we got. C7 is another one that we're going to have to go over. Shift lock, we're not using. Ground, we're not going to worry about just yet. Okay, now we've mapped. We're close to mapping all the other ones. So now we've got R6 is right there, and it's right here. So and we've got the problem is we've got to go. You know what? I should have went the other way. So here is, we're going to do this. See if this helps us. I think this is going to help us.
I'll move everything over one.
Yeah, because when we do that, then we can map these. Oh, I'm too quick on the, there we go. We can map that without having to go over a connection. That one can be mapped without going over a connection. That one can be mapped without going over a connection. So all those are mapped now. All we got to do now is map these. And so we've got, and then this one here is, so this one I can map it without having to go over anything. I can just do this. So like that. And then this one here, it's red and it's top, and then we can just go right there. This one here, we can go right to here and then map to there. This one, we can go right there. This one, yeah, this is looking really good. There's that. What else do we have? Is that all of them? No, we got some more here. R0.
R1.
Yeah. So these, let's do this right there. And then R1. Yep. Okay. And then C0. Why is C0 not? What's the deal? Where is C0 anyway? Oh, there it is. Huh. Oh, I see. I accidentally put a wire there. Go away. Okay. So let's map C0. Well, this is not too bad. All right, let's see if we can clean up this a bit now. We can move VCC back to where it was. Okay. And we'll move this right there, right there, and move this. Can I put it here? Hopefully. Okay. Move these right in here. Actually, yeah, that's a good point. I should layer top. There we go. Okay, now need to straighten this up. There we go. This one needs to be moved so it's right there. This one moves so it's right there. And this, move that there. Okay. Do I have any more that have to go? Nope. So we're going to clean this up and put it right there. And then this, like that. Like that. Like that. Whoops. Like that. This is like that. This needs to go there. Whoops. There. There. So now they're all kind of laid out nicely on that side. And then let's work on cleaning up the these bottom side ones here. So we want to go there. We want to go there. And then that one, we can move it all the way up to here. Whoops, can't quite go that far. There we go. And let's move the other ones because we're trying to make this board, you know, the less board we have to deal with, the cheaper the cheaper it is for everybody to make. Not to mention the fact that if the board is, you know, less expensive to make, then there's better chance people will, you know, see it as, well, it's just economical. It's just much more economical to do that. Okay, so let's clean this up. That takes care of that. Takes care of that. We're almost done here.
No, this is great.
And when we get done here, we'll put that connector back where it originally was.
I've seen the end result, but never saw the process to get there. So it's very fascinating.
Oh, it took me quite a few years to learn this. Of course, most people now are use KiCad to do this work, which is fine. It's free and everything. It's just at the time, Eagle was what everybody used, and so I used Eagle, or I learned Eagle, and then of course at some point Eagle got bought out by they got bought out by AutoCAD, and so that was It was challenging because now they went to a subscription model where you don't actually buy the software, you just rent it. And I wasn't really interested in renting my software. So if people are wanting to try it out now, I always suggest that they do that they try out KiCad. It's pretty at the time I was learning this tool. KiCad was pretty rough, but it's gotten a lot better. I've used this since 2004, so I've used it for quite a long time. But and at the time, KiCad was, like I said, it was pretty rough, but now it's pretty full featured. It's just got a couple things that it doesn't have yet that I wish it had, but they're kind of complex things. And oh, somebody commented. No SX. Just got here, no SX, but fun. It's cute. Why didn't it show up? Hold on here a second. Let me. System sound. Yeah, it should have showed up. Well, anyway. Okay, so I think we're close. Now we just need to slide this connector back down here.
But just a question.
Yeah.
So on R6,
R6.
You've got
okay.
You've got the trace on both sides of the board on top of each other. Does that cause any kind of a problem in the board itself?
Where are you? R6. So here's R5, R7, R6, right here?
No, down. Down where it says I think it's R6. So move your cursor over to the right.
Right here?
No, up a little bit.
Right here?
And over to the right. Okay, over to the right. More. Whoa. Now go back and follow that red trace. Now go
this
up.
One right here. Yep.
No, the next one.
This one?
That one.
Okay.
So as you follow it down, and then when you follow it parallel, so it's on top of the C4.
Yeah, because C4.
Right
yeah.
They're on both sides of the board. They're the same. Does that cause any kind of problems with it? And it's just a question.
Well, it's not. It's a little misleading. So here I'll move it real quick so you can see what's going on. So come on. So C4 is actually on the bottom in blue.
Right. I understand that.
Oh, okay.
But they're on both sides of the board in the same place.
Oh yeah, yeah. With the signal and the width of the board, no, not for this. Now, if you had two high-speed signals that were going to be, in parallel right there, then yeah, that would be a challenge.
Okay.
You typically would want to run, like I typically run the signals on one side of the board. I would run them either perpendicular or slanted one way, and then the signals on the other end of the board, you'd want them to try. You'd want to try and run them not at 180 degrees off of the first ones. But we're talking about the keyboard here, and the keyboard only gets scanned 60 times a second. So the hertz here is well, it's 60, it's maybe 120 hertz or something like that. So it's
Right.
pretty low. It's not millions of hertz like the signals for the data bus or something like that. But yes, that's a good point. They're on both sides, and so technically, if these two were going fast enough, and the printed circuit board was thin enough, like let's say this was a four layer board, and these two layers were close to each other on the top of the board, you'd end up making a little capacitor on there. And so that would be the challenge. But yeah, the speed you've got here and the distance on the board, the capacitance is not going to be enough to worry about. But it's a good point though.
No, just a learning question for me. I was just curious.
Yep. Yeah, the nice thing about retro computing is that there's very, the signals are pretty robust from a signal, concern point of view. much more forgiving than if you if you had a 100 megahertz or maybe even like a 20 megahertz. You wouldn't have you'd have to pay much more attention. Sometimes they get to the point where they have, if you've ever seen a signal line on a computer where it's all zigzaggy, like one of the wires is straight and the other one's zigzagged, and they do that to match impedance. They're trying to make the length of the wire exactly the same for both of those. So since one has farther to go, they have to make the other one zigzag so that it matches the length, which is
okay.
I mean that's pretty extreme, quite honestly. Okay, let's see if we can clean some of this up here so that we can see if we can bring C6. There we go. And whoops, what did I do there? Okay. All right, let's clean up this one. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do that. All right. Couple cleanups here just to make the board nice and pretty. Okay, and one more. Okay, and then what do we got here? We got a couple more to clean up. Clean up that. Clean up that. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go. Okay, and two more wires, and then we'll put that power connector on, and we'll call it good here. Oops. Oops. Okay, take care of that one. And one more. Slide over there. All right. Now the only thing that we have left is power, or no, ground. We have ground, and I'll take care of it in just a second. So let's put this. Whoops, what was that? Okay, so all those look like they're in good shape. And then ground, we got two grounds here. So, okay, so we got that. Let's do the last piece. Let's flip back over to the other board here. I'll have to fix those two parts, but that's a job for another time. Let's go grab a a connector for the power LED. So let's grab it. LTSB pin headers male, and we want a 3-position one, like that. And let's put it right here. All right, now we got to figure out what I always forget what the connection looks like. Oh, and we got to get a resistor here. So let's just grab a resistor. So the question is the middle pin plus 5 volts or is the
Middle pin is
outside?
ground.
The middle pin is ground? Okay. Well, then that helps.
Well, on the connector here on the case,
Okay, good. That's what we needed.
that middle one is ground.
Okay, so let's just here we go. Okay, so the middle one is ground. So let's do this. Here we go. And we've got, so 1 and 3 are going to be power, essentially. And there we go. And let's say this resistor is going to be 330. And then we got to get a ground in here. Okay. And let's steal a ground from here. Okay, there we go. All right, let's put this stuff on the board. So we'll put this unit right here. We'll put the connector right. Let's see. No, I want it. Let's do this. Let's have it go like that. And then that way we can just connect it up here to VCC real easy. And then whoa. All right, that takes care of that. Pin 1, pin 1, pin 1, pin 1, pin 1, everything looks nice. Now we got to do the final piece, which is to put a ground plane on the unit. So I'll show you how we do that. It's really nice. So what we do is basically just draw a big box around our board. And then we'll draw one on the bottom too. And then we'll go in and name it, and we'll name it ground. And then we'll name the other one ground. And then when we do this, it'll connect all the grounds for us. And that saves us some time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We don't have to actually do that. And then we're gonna load a rule checking system here. It'll tell us if there's any problems. The other thing it'll do is I have it set to fill out the stuff a little closer. And what I will do is I'll have it check for angles. I'm going to have it check for angles. Yep, a couple of angles I have that aren't right. There was one. There we go.
Now, what's wrong with your angle?
It's not 45.
Oh, okay.
It's not. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just it's I don't know, just being anal, I guess. Okay, so no errors. Okay, so now the last thing we need to do is, I'm not a huge fan of boards that have really sharp edges, so let's put some miters on here. Let's put a 0.5-inch miter. Let's see if that's too much. That looks pretty good. Okay. Actually, you know what? We'll leave that one. We'll leave that like that because it's going to be connecting up to that connector there. And there we go. So now what we'll do is we will see. I think actually tell you what I'll do. I will leave this without the miter because I'm going to put it so that it can be cut right here. So what we'll do is we'll put some little drill holes here. Let me see if I can. Let's put some holes. We'll make them big enough to where if people want to, they can scribe along that line. Let's see if we've got. Yep, we'll do that right there, 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 right there. There we go. And then if people really want to, they can take it between their hands and snap it in half, and they'll have two boards.
Then they just have to connect those 17 traces with a cable.
Yeah, just take get one of those. It's actually a 20 pin. Actually, they sell them already pre-made, where you have one of the. It's like an IDE cable like connector on one end and an IDE cable connector on the other end. Only they're not 40 pins. They're only 20 pins, and
Yeah,
you just populate those those 4 rows of connectors with a 2 pin headers, and then plug the cable on there, and you're done.
I see. Okay.
So that way, you can use it either way. Okay. Well, there we are. What else? Anything else that you think should be added to it?
No, no. How how does the DB25 piece get connected to this board?
So, what this connection looks like? Let me grab a DB25 here, and I'll show you how it works. So, hold on one second here. Let me find a DB25. All right, here we go. So it's a DB25 male, right?
Well, I mean, it would work either way. I mean, you could get the cable I have is a female to male.
Yep.
But I mean, they make male to male. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter at this end.
No,
you
that's
got plenty
fair.
of room.
But if you want one that's going to plug directly into the SX, you'd want a male, right?
You'd want to, if you could, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And
so here is. So let me flip off. Let me switch my view here so I can show you. Here we go. here we go. So anyway, yeah, if they made a DB25 with a plastic shell around it, then then that would probably work. And I know they make a DB9 version of that is they make a DB9 version of it that's got the plastic connector, but I don't know if they make a DB25 version. So I'll have to do some investigation on that.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Anyway, I'll get this up on GitHub and run a few boards. Maybe I'll ship you a few that are finished, and you can see whether it works.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it'd be perfect.
Okay. Well, good. Well,
I appreciate you doing this. I learned a lot.
No problem. Happy to
this was
get
fun.
Happy to get it set up here. Let me save it. I realized right now that I broke the cardinal rule of things, and I forgot to save it.
Back
So
it up.
I forgot to back it up. So let me make sure that because else otherwise our whole thing here is going to be for naught. So I'm going to call this a Sx64 keyboard adapter, and we will put a printed circuit board directory in here, and we will dump it in here. So Sx64 keyboard adapter. There we go. Okay, well, hey, it was cool. See if this works and get a couple boards made, and there you go. Move on to something else.
All right.
Okay.
Now I look forward to watching you do the next one.
Okay. Talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
See you.
Have a good night.
You too. Okay. Let's see. How do I? There we go. And